How you doing? My name's Christian Mendoza, and I'm an active firefighter. Today, I want to talk to you about fire prevention. Fire prevention is often an overlooked aspect of fire safety, but it's probably the most important. It's the instrument that mitigates the potential for fire-related incidents. It's important to understand the role that fire prevention plays and become educated on what fire prevention truly means. There's three concepts within fire prevention. Those concepts are education, engineering, and enforcement. I'm going to define all three of these concepts and then we're going to talk them down a little bit. So, education. Education seeks to teach, promote awareness, present information, and conduct activities that intend to change behavior that increases the public safety to fire related incidents. Engineering seeks to employ physical science to find solutions for reducing the impact or eliminating the risk of fire related incidents that might involve the development of codes, standards, equipment, and system and construction techniques. Enforcement seeks to develop an approach to adopting community codes and certifying officials with authority to inspect the extent of code compliance and implement rules and regulations to clarify the application of codes. So, what these really mean: education. Education is about educating ourselves, educating the public on fire prevention, ways to prevent these incidents from happening, fire related incidents, presenting that information. Engineering is putting something in place or implementing something that helps prevent these fires. It might be equipment, it could be a system, it could be a process, or it could be codes. And we know that's what we have. We have fire codes, right? And that's where enforcement comes in. We can have codes, but there needs to be some form of enforcement. And that's where enforcement regulates these different codes and makes them law and makes them requirement for us to follow, right? So we just talked about fire prevention. We talked about the different concepts of fire prevention, education, engineering, and enforcement. And now I want to dive a little bit deeper into enforcement. So let's talk about enforcement. Here in New Jersey, we have the Uniform Fire Code, and under the Uniform Fire Code, we have really two pillars there. There's fire prevention, the Fire Prevention Code, and Fire Safety Code. So those codes are truly enforced through fire inspections, right? So you have a fire inspection conducted, and at the end of the fire inspection, your fire inspector will notify you if you have any violations. If you do have a violation, typically you'll have 30 days to correct that violation at no penalty to you. If it's a serious violation, you might get less time than that. Typically, you might see a 7-day turnaround for a serious violation. If the violations are not completed within the given designated number of days, the owner of that facility or you as a business owner can incur a penalty. All right, so understanding these codes and understanding the regulations behind them is very important because ultimately it can end up costing you money. All right, but this is how we enforce those codes and regulations. As a business owner, understand that these responsibilities are yours within your facility and your business. So don't allow yourself to become a victim to a fire inspection. All right, make sure you're taking care of your stuff. So we just talked about enforcement. We talked about the Uniform Fire Code, the New Jersey Uniform Fire Code, Fire Prevention Code, and Fire Safety Code, along with some fire inspection material. Now we're going to talk about the New Jersey Building Code. So New Jersey follows the International Building Code. They just kind of put their own spin on it, right? So the way that this code applies to new and used structure buildings. So new buildings that are put in place are expected to follow the current construction codes and the current fire codes that are in place. Existing buildings that were made with previous codes in mind or that follow no codes at all are typically not expected to implement or follow the new codes unless it's conveniently feasible. These buildings are typically still seen as safe and sound, and they're still in use. So as these codes develop, if it is not feasible for your building to follow those codes, yet you still show that your building presents a safe environment for yourself and your customers, you will not be enforced to follow those new codes. So that's the New Jersey building code in relation to new and used structure buildings. Let's talk about the building code in relation to fire resistance ratings, fire tests, and fire resistance materials here in New Jersey. So fire resistance ratings and fire tests fall in line with enforcement, right? And that's through fire inspections. So during those fire inspections, the inspector is looking for requirements that fall in line with Section 703 of that building code. Tests that are conducted within that section, a couple of them show the analytical methods and also non-combustibility tests. But Section 03 outlines different portions of the facility that must be tested. And if you go in there and look, it shows you each area, each part, and what you'll see, the common theme there, is that they must be tested to conform with UL Standard 263 or Active Standard Test Methods E119. So that is a consistent part of Section 703 of that building code. So you want to make sure that you are in line with those standards. So we just discussed the different concepts of fire prevention. We also talked about the New Jersey Building Code and the importance of fire resistance ratings, fire tests, and fire resistant materials. As a New Jersey business owner, it's your responsibility to uphold these codes and provide an establishment that promotes a safe and secure environment for yourself and your customers. Fire prevention and the concepts behind it that create the New Jersey Fire Code will do that for you. Follow those codes and you will be just fine. Best of luck with your business. Stay safe, and thank you.